Hello, this is Shinru. In this video, I'm going to introduce closure in JavaScript. Closure is a very important concept in JavaScript, and most videos that introduce about closure is over complicated. And in this video, I'm going to do a simple demo of closure and let you know what closure really is. So as you can, as you probably know that in JavaScript, a variable defined outside of a function can be accessed inside of the function. So basically, if a variable is defined of the outer scope of something, then it can definitely be accessed by the inner scope. So for example, here, if I define a variable called result, and in this result I say something like old variable, and after I define this variable, I'm defining another function called closure function, and in this closure function I am asking for a parameter called new result, and in this closure function what I will do is I will console log the result value. As you can see, the result value is outside of the closure function, but because it is in the outer scope, it can be accessed by the closure function. And here what I will do is I will not only access the variable, I will even change the value of the variable. So here I'm going to assign new result to my result. And then I will console log result again, and eventually here what I will do is I will call this closure function and I will assign it a new value. And what do you think this program will eventually output? So in this case, because the result can not only be accessed but also be changed, so this closure function, by calling the closure function, I will console log the old variable, I will console log this variable, this string, and eventually I will also console log the string that I put into the closure function. So let's call this function, call this index.js, and as you can see, so this proves that in JavaScript, a variable is defined outside of a function can be accessed and changed inside a function. So this is the simplest demo for closure, but it is not the common concept of closure. So now I'm going to go one step further to introduce the common sense of closure. So the common understanding of closure is that a function inside another function. So for example, here, the closure function, I will first console log the result, that is okay, but inside the closure function, here in the closure function, for demonstration purpose, I'm going to change the result to new result. And then what I'm going to do is return a new function. So I'm going to return this function, return a brand new function, and inside this function I will console log my result. So as you can see, this closure function is getting the new result from outside, and then it first will access the variable defined outside of this closure function and the console log result, and then it will reassign new result to my result variable, and eventually it will return a function, return a brand new function, but it won't console log the result. So for example here, if I call this closure function and assign the value that it returned, so the closure function will return another function, right? So I will assign the value as output. So I will name it as output function, and then I will call this output function. So in this case, what do you think will happen is that the closure function will be called, and when it is called, it will do two things. First, it will console log the result variable, so it will console log old value, this string, and then it will do the second thing, that is assign the new result to the variable result, so it will change the result, and then eventually it will return the value. Then when I call this output function, it will console log the new value. It will console log this string. So now let's run this index.js. As you can see, I get the same result. So in this case, this is the most common demonstration for closure. So lots of code, if you are doing Node.js or you are doing Ajax or things like that, you will need to use closure a lot, and this is the common practice for closure. So basically it is, in JavaScript there are two rules. So first rule is a variable that is defined in the outer scope can always be accessed in inner scope. And the second rule is, in JavaScript, a function can return another function. And inside the first function, you can change the state. And that is the meaning of closure.